To beat the meta, you gotta know the meta. Is Royal Knights really the best deck in the Digimon TCG right now, or is it just overhyped? Everybody's been talking about it. And if you've been testing on sim like me, or you have that one sweaty friend at locals running the decks at max rarity, you've definitely seen it in action. But does it actually dominate the meta? In this video, we're analyzing the latest trends, breaking down the matchup data, and checking out a few successful Royal Knights deck profiles. By the end, we'll see via numbers if Royal Knights is truly best deck in format, or if there are counters that can bring it down. If that sounds good to you, drop a like and subscribe before your security stack runs out. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, huge shout out to Limitless TCG, the tournament organizers, and everyone contributing to the data that helped make this video possible. This data includes all events in the Chains of Liberation format up to March 22nd. So what does the meta actually look like? Let's take a quick breakdown. Now, what I have in front of you is the matchup table of the 15 most popular archetypes in the meta. And if you've played other TCGs, this is your typical matchups table where it shows kind of the 14 most popular decks across the axes here. And then two, their win rates against the other most popular archetypes. So for example, Digimon X has a 30.59% win rate against Purple Hybrid. So just taking a look at kind of what the most represented decks are so far, some of this comes at no surprise. We have Purple Hybrid 1, Digimon X at 2, Takamika at 3. Now here's the surprise, Royal Knight at 4, at 93 instances of this deck appearing. And remember, this data is the entirety of the Chains of Liberation format. So definitely a rogue surprise, right? Looking at the numbers. The second thing I want to take a look at is the win rates, which is over here under column A. And they're not in any particular order, but the four highest win rate decks in this format is Virus Imperial down here at 57.73%, Royal Knights 57.14%, Purple Hybrid 56.69%, and of course Blue Green Imperial at 55.34%. So again, Royal Knights, kind of the young child on the block, but already showcasing the second best win rate in the format. So definitely the huge surprise here. Now, these 15 archetypes represent about 55% of the meta. And as I do multiple of these along the road, I'll kind of decide how many archetypes to include for them to be considered, I guess, meta relevant. And of course, when it comes to meta shifts in the trends themselves, this is the first time I'm doing this. So I'll have to figure out kind of a frequency to look at the data to see how the trend or how the decks kind of trend over time. If you know other quality sites tracking Digimon TCG data, drop them in the comments below. More data equals better insights. Now that we know what's dominating, let's break it all down into a tier list based on win rates and representation. This is crucial intel for deciding what to play in the upcoming Over the X format. Now, if you take a look here, I have 5 different tiers here, and you can group tier 1 and 1.5 kind of together. 1 is meta defining, 1.5 is consistent contenders, and then you can kind of group 2 and 2.5 together, and then tier 3, which are struggling from a competitive standpoint. And if you take a look here, really, I would say, based on the numbers, the top 3 archetypes right now would be Royal Knights, Virus Imperial, and Purple Hybrid, with an asterisk. Everyone knows this includes Purple Hybrid pre-ban list, so it would be interesting to see in the few upcoming events coming up where Purple Hybrid kind of falls in that picture. And then below you have kind of your mainstays, Blue Green Imperials here on this list. Takamika, again, similar to Purple Hybrid. The ban list affected it with the Fenrir Luga ban. We'll see what happens after that. And of course we have Digimon X, which is another kind of popular favorite that recently has entered the tournament scene. Magna X, I think, even though Magna X is underplayed, it has strong showings across the board and decent matchups against these other meta defining and popular decks. And then below that, again, this is pre-ban list, we have Mirage, that could be situational, 7 Great Demon Lords, which if it gets a little bit more support can definitely tick back up. And then we have Tyrant, which is something that even surprised me to see here as a situational yet competitive pick. And then below in the struggling tier, we have Leviathan X, 3 Great Angels, and Rapid X. Don't get mad at me, get mad at the numbers. Now, the Royal Knights game plan is relatively simple, and they do 3 things. 1, they set up quickly using searchers like BT20 OmegaMon and BT20 Coolboy. 2, they establish board presence with MagnaTimMon and other sticky or defensive Royal Knights like Genkumon and Lord Knightmon. And then eventually through King Drazzle, they stack multiple Royal Knights and sources, bring out Omni-X, flood the board, and overwhelm the opponent. Now, let's take a look at some of the key matchups and data here for Royal Knights. And if you take a look at this, I think the reason that Royal Knights is definitely going to be a contender for the long term is look at the winning matchups that it has right now. 59% win rate against Dukemon, 70% win rate against pre-ban list Takamika, 75% win rate against Mirage, Magna X, and it just gets stronger and stronger. Very strong matchups against Leviathan X, Vmont Armor, which is kind of an offshoot of Magna X, and Tyrant. So very strong showings against these different archetypes. What's very interesting is its weakest matchup. I want to point out 2 here. Its 2 weakest matchups is against Purple Hybrid. Again, this is pre-ban list numbers, so that gets rid of 1 threat. And then the second one is Virus Imperial, which is another archetype that's kind of jumped into the scene since the most recent format release. And it only wins against Virus Imperial 11% of the time. So yikes, that is going to be tough. Now, let's take a look at some of the profiles that I pulled specifically from Limitless TCG. And these deck profiles are from people that placed well in their respective events won. And I tried to pull the most recent kind of deck list to kind of see where people are building Royal Knights now. And so we have MagnaTimMon, who took this deck to one of the Eagles Nest tournament. We have Diego Pelizola, who got 21 points for taking this to a Phoenix Open. Gonzalo Geronimo, 6-3, 18 points. And then Matias Valenzuela, who really saw success with this particular deck list here. So before we kind of really go into the deep dive, really wanted to point out the most common themes and kind of statistics among these 4 different deck profiles. First off, we'll go over ratios. All 4 of these decks, and even a few others that I checked out, they're running between 36 to 38 Digimon, of which 26 to 30 of them are Royal Knight traded. Options, a lot of them are running 8 to 10, and each and every list that I've seen so far, they're running 4 of Royal Knights of the Purge and the Last Guardian, so that definitely are staples in the deck. And then lastly, Tamers. Not a lot of Tamers here. If you look at the 4 of them, a lot of them or all of them are running 4 Cool Boys. There's this one deck list right here that's running 2 Marcus Damon for some matchups against I would guess some rookie Floodgates. Even if you take a look specific Digimon in these lineups that you'll see across the board, like I said before, they all include the BT20 OmegaMon, which is very sticky, very defensive, and definitely plays into the Royal Knights game plan. And all these deck lists also has BT13 Gallantmon, which is the one that can play itself for reduced costs based on number of cards in trash, and it has Rush. So not only is it great in the early game for popping a Digimon or a Floodgate, you can also bring it out at the end of the game and swing for game because it has Rush. A couple other things I want to point out as well when I checked out these different deck profiles. all of these decks are running between 3 to 5 aces. Keep in mind, if you're deciding to play King Drazel within this deck, you can't digivolve. So the only way to really make a play and interact with the board is through the Blast Ace mechanic. So I've seen different deck lists include Omnimon Ace, Alphamon Urukian Ace, and Jesmon Ace, to name a few. And then lastly, really the other thing I want to point out is, depending on how defensive or offensive you want to go, taking a look at these different deck lists, I've seen anywhere between 3 to 4 of the MagnaTimMons, 2 to 3 of the BT13 Omegamons, and even 2 to 3 Urukian Aces in these different deck lists. There are already deck profiles out there from these 4 players and tamers that are trying its best to tech against the meta. The 3 I want to point out that's relatively interesting. The first one is Crimson Blaze, which is a 6-cost option. It is red, which is fine because a lot of the Royal Knights that people are slotting in are red. And so this handles floodgates, and this can actually slow the opponent down because they cannot play Digimon by effects, which a lot of the top decks like to do. The second kind of tech option that's popped up here in these deck lists is the Queen Device or Pawn Device combo. What's interesting, even though Queen Device is yellow, if you look at its text, if you don't have a Queen Device already in the battle area, you can ignore the color requirement. And all it does is it's a -3k DP and negates all when digivolving effects on a particular Digimon if it survives. So pretty versatile card to use because either A, it can remove any floodgates that will mess up the Royal Knights game plan, or 2, if they want to target another Digimon that's out in the battle area, can really slow the opponent down if they're trying to build a stack on their next turn. And of course, Pawn Device is the extra draw. And then lastly, there is a deck profile that went pretty far in the tournament that ran different ratios of Jesmon, Jesmon GX Ace, and Jesmon X Antibody. We'll take a look at the Jesmon GX Ace here. And so here, on play when digivolving effect, if you place a Royal Knight trait card from hand or trash as its source, you could delete a Digimon with as much as less DP as its Digimon. So it helps Drazel's effect to kind of tuck sources under it, 1. And then 2, again, any of those pesky floodgates that the Royal Knights player is struggling against, Jesmon GX can help pop them. So, is Royal Knights truly best deck in format, or is it just flavor of the month? My answer, it's clearly strong, but it's not unbeatable. As of now, Virus Imperial dumps on it, and the deck struggles against Blue-Green Imperial. However, Royal Knights is here to stay. That's the latest on the Digimon TCG meta. What do you think? Is Royal Knights too strong, or is the meta more balanced than people think? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this meta breakdown, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy this meta breakdown, let me know why. This is my second video, and I want to provide you with content worth your time. Until next time, keep shuffling, keep digivolving, and I'll see you back on File Island.